right? So, okay, well, that's kind of cool. Well, then you might ask, what is this stuff that we've found? Is it the visible matter in the universe that makes up the galaxies? No, because all visible matter that we know of gravitationally attracts other matter. What about dark matter? How many of you have heard of dark matter? Yeah, a lot of people have heard of dark matter. Dark matter exists, in abundance in clusters of galaxies like this. In fact, it's 9 times as massive as the visible matter. And we know it's there because if it weren't there, the clusters of galaxies would be gravitationally unbound. They would be zipping past each other and would not stay together. And one of my heroes, Fritz Zwicky, of Caltech, he died in 1974 or 75, he came to this conclusion that there's dark matter in the universe in the early 1930s, but he was nearly uniformly ignored. It's too bad. He was a brilliant guy. He made predictions about supernovae and stuff, but he was largely ignored because his colleagues at Caltech didn't like him. That's because he didn't think very highly of them. He was arrogant, he was abrasive, he was brilliant, but he was arrogant and abrasive, and in fact, legend has it that he referred to his Caltech colleagues as spherical bastards, because they're bastards any way you look at them. Well, this is not a good way to make friends, okay? If you go around calling your friends spherical bastards, I don't think you're going to get very many dinner invitations. So, but he did come up with dark matter. But anyway, dark matter pulls. It doesn't push. So it's not whatever this stuff is. This stuff is something new. And for want of a better term, astronomers now call it dark energy. And you'll hear about dark energy. It's a regrettable term, in my opinion, because, the most famous equation in all of physics is what? E equals mc squared. Anyone on the street knows E equals mc squared. They might not know what it means. Chances are they really don't know what it means, but they will have heard the thing. And so is dark energy in some way the same thing as dark matter? No. Banish the thought. They are completely different things. Dark energy is some sort of a weird thing with a positive energy, but a negative pressure. And the negative pressure is what, in a sense, stretches space. And I don't claim to understand that. Don Merolf and Jim Hartle and other relativists at UCSB can explain to you if you wish to know. But this negative pressure is what does this to the universe. And so we call it dark energy. And this stuff is not a minor component of the universe. 73% of the energy plus mass content of the universe is this dark energy. And you know what? We don't know what it is. I would say we haven't a clue, except that doesn't quite tell the whole story. There are hundreds of theories, but we really don't know which one is correct. One idea is that it's the quantum fluctuations in the very vacuum of space itself. We've known for decades that space isn't empty. In fact, it's teeming with activity, and we can tell that it is because it ever so subtly affects the energy levels of the hydrogen atom and other atoms, and those effects have been measured. But it had been always assumed that overall, the positive energy fluctuations effectively cancel negative energy fluctuations. So there are negative energy ones, to give you an energy of the vacuum that's precisely zero. And this assumption had been made by theoretical physicists not because they had a good mechanism for such a cancellation, but rather because if you don't assume such a magical cancellation, the natural amount of this dark energy that you predict is so many orders of magnitude bigger than it could possibly be that, we wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be around right now if it were that big. So physicists simply said, for reasons yet to be figured out, there is an exact cancellation of the positive and negative energy fluctuations. Well, if the positive ones slightly outnumber the negative ones for a net positive energy, remarkably enough, it has the desired property of stretching space, of having a rather large negative pressure. But that's just one idea. It's the simplest idea, and the data right now are most consistent with that idea, but theoretical physicists really don't like that idea. and they're considering many other ideas. And you will read about dark energy. And the teams studying supernovae are now trying to quantify in more detail the expansion history of the universe in order to set observational constraints on what the dark energy might be. That's what we're trying to do in the next 10 years. But there's a lot of it, and we don't know what it is. There's also a lot of dark matter, and we don't know what this is in general. We think it's some sort of an elementary particle left over from the beginning of the universe, the Big Bang. A kind of a particle unlike a proton or a neutron. The best candidates are the so-called WIMPs, weakly interacting massive particles. But not a single one has ever been detected in a laboratory. And that may or may not be a problem, depending on with whom you speak. The people who are doing the experiments say that's not yet a problem. But of course, they want to continue to get funded. And this is very good research. I don't mean to belittle it, seriously. Unless we check all these possibilities, we won't know. But it is disconcerting to me, at least, that no particles of the WIMP variety have yet been found. The atoms of which we consist constitute only 4% of the contents of the universe. The remaining 96% is basically of unknown physical properties or origin. That's kind of weird. That's not true in this room, okay? But in the vastness of space, most of which is mostly empty, it's actually filled with this stuff, okay? Here in this room, we're dominated by these guys. But only about a tenth of the 4%, that is 0.4%, consists of atoms that you can actually see, atoms that glow or reflect light, like stars or nebulae. So not to diminish our importance, but we are the debris of the universe, the afterthought of creation, okay? And that's, again, to say that it's not that you're not important. You are, to yourself, your family, your loved ones. But I want to emphasize that we are not made of the dominant stuff of the universe. The dominant stuff is the dark matter, and we don't know what it is, and especially the dark energy, and we really don't know what it is.